Have you ever tried learning something new and felt like you were going in circles? You spent hours watching videos, reading articles, taking notes, but in the end, none of it really stuck. If that sounds familiar, it's not your fault. The problem is that most people learn the wrong way. They think all they have to do is absorb information, like their brain is a USB drive. But learning isn't about storing information. It's about using it. If you really want to learn anything faster, there's one technique that works like a shortcut for your brain. It's simple, but almost nobody uses it properly: active recall. Most people believe that the best way to memorize something is to read it over and over again until it sticks. But that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Your brain isn't a tape recorder that just saves whatever you see or hear. It needs to be challenged to truly remember and understand information. Here's how active recall works. Instead of just rereading something, close the book, pause the video, or cover your notes and try to recall in your own words what you just learned. No peeking, no cheating. Your brain is forced to pull that information back, and that effort strengthens your memory. This works because your brain is built on connections. When you passively read or listen, the information just floats around without anything to hold on to. But when you actively try to recall it, your brain links it to other memories, creating stronger pathways. The more you do this, the more natural and effortless learning becomes. Think about when you try to remember someone's name after meeting them. If you never actively try to recall it, you'll probably forget. But if you repeat the name a few times after the conversation, say it out loud to someone else, or even write it down, the chances of remembering it later skyrocket. That's because actively recalling information forces your brain to strengthen its connections. Now, here's another huge mistake people make when trying to learn something new. They try to cram everything at once, thinking the more hours they put in, the faster they'll master it. This is one of the biggest learning myths. Your brain has a limit on how much it can absorb in one go. When you spend hours straight studying or practicing, it might feel like you're making progress, but in reality, a lot of what you learn will fade away quickly. That's because your mind needs time to process and store information properly. The best way to learn anything is to space out your learning and practice into smaller sessions over time. This is called the spacing effect, a scientifically proven principle that shows your brain retains information much better when it's revisited at different intervals instead of being crammed in all at once. Imagine trying to clear a path in a dense forest. If you walk through it just once, the plants will grow back and the path will disappear. But if you go through it repeatedly, with breaks in between, the path becomes more defined and easier to follow. That's exactly how memory works. So instead of spending 6 hours straight trying to master something new, break it down into smaller sessions throughout the week. 1 hour a day for 6 days is far more effective than a single 6-hour marathon. Your brain gets time to absorb, reinforce, and solidify the information. Now here's a game-changing trick that can multiply your learning speed by 10. Teach it to someone else. When you teach something, your brain is forced to reorganize the information in a way that makes sense. This immediately shows you what you truly understand and what still needs work. And if you don't have anyone to teach, no problem. Just talk out loud to yourself. Explain it as if you were making a video or even record a quick voice note. If you ever struggle to explain a concept clearly, that's a sign that you haven't fully mastered it yet. This technique works because it forces you to structure your knowledge logically, making it way more effective than just passively consuming content. And here's the most important thing: if you want to get better at anything fast, stop repeating what you already know. Real progress happens when you attack your weaknesses head-on. If you only practice what you're already good at, you'll never move to the next level. If you're learning a new language and only review words you're comfortable with, your vocabulary won't grow. If you're playing an instrument and only play songs you already know, you won't improve. The key is to push yourself where it's uncomfortable, because that's where real growth happens. At first, it might feel frustrating, but that's exactly how you break past your limits. So here's your challenge. Pick something you want to learn and start applying these techniques today. Don't just watch videos about it. Don't just read about it. Practice it, test yourself, teach it, and space out your learning. Now think about how many people need to hear this. If you know someone struggling to learn something new, share this with them. And And if you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe because there's a lot more coming your way. And before you go, let me know in the comments, which of these techniques have you used before and which one are you going to start applying today? Try it out, and when you start seeing results, come back and tell me how it worked for you. Learning isn't about knowing, it's about doing. So start now. Your future self will thank you.